Alrighty, what's up, guys? This is the day after the FOMC meeting yesterday, and the big thing, and I don't always get everything right, but I was talking about for a week or two now, maybe longer, potentially the first rate cut not being until October, and that potentially the irony of all of it, that potentially marking kind of the end of this bull run if you believe in Fourier cycle theory, if you believe that we will do the same thing and peak out 18 months after the last Bitcoin halving, as we have always done historically. So that's kind of big there. And we'll talk about kind of how that maps out, in terms of from now until the end of October. So essentially August, September, only 3 more months. And you may see kind of that altcoin season happen through that. I'll show you the chart that kind of, ETH versus others that kind of determines that. And here are the latest trades right now. This Solana one is pretty risky. I posted this setup in the Discord, but it's not like something like right now, since it's like still ETH season. I would be more inclined to just add to the ETH long. I know you're just like, well, why are you, look at what someone says, not what they do. Yeah, sometimes I like to be diversified with the trades. I mean, Solana, it's a high trading volume thing, so I think it will do pretty well here, but, be careful. I mean, some of this, like Doge, I mean, it's looked good, but we'll hopefully get there. I mean, you get eaten alive with funding fees in the damn Chainlink one, but I do think it will, eventually keep going up. That's why I keep it in instead of just taking profits. But yeah, if you guys are interested in making some of these trades and getting a free month in the Discord link is the first link down below. Sign up to any of these exchanges. The links are down below as well. BloFin is 20% off all your fees for life, and they're doing, I believe, a trading volume bonus that ends. Oh, it just ended. Okay. That just ended, but you still get your 20% fees off for life, 25% off fees for life on Bitunix. That's a newest sponsor, and then BYDFI. Let's see what they're doing. Yeah, they're doing a trading bonus. So check out BYDFI. It's 20% off your fees for life as well. If you sign up to any of these, make sure and deposit at least $100 with my link. Make sure you open a support ticket in the Discord with your UID or your email, and we'll get you sorted. We'll give you a free month, and there are a lot of good stuff in there. Still got Nightshade doing well in there, and KMac as well, and myself. So a lot of really good content. So yeah, Bitcoin, the big thing here is you're eventually going to break upward or break downward. I would equate, ETH to potentially making a new all-time high, Ethereum making a new all-time high within the next 2 weeks if everything goes well. This would equate to Bitcoin 125 to 130 if you break upward. If you break downward, you're looking at 112, maybe these lower areas. I would think this is generally kind of a bullish pattern. How this, when you look at this enough times, you just look at the thing and that it would lean. That doesn't mean it has to break upward, but it would lean more in an upward fashion. Kind of just this setup here. I believe I wouldn't get that 2 week bear day when that prints. That'll probably give you a little correction month. It could be mid-September where you really start to come down there or something. When would that probably print? Yeah, end of August, early September. That'd probably be, I would guess your red month probably would be September, mid-August to mid-September, I think is going to be your next kind of pullback. But before then, a good jump up to 130 is potential here. So I like how that's looking. In terms of a trade setup, like I mentioned, I would probably rather go long on Ethereum, but you could try this. It's a nice 2-to-1, something like that. Definitely a decent shot. And then Ethereum, you got a good shot of continuing forward. I mean, maybe it's too optimistic to say new all-time high by mid-August, but, 4,100, if you can hold that, 4,600, these areas, you may reject from the old all-time high, but everything's looking pretty good, Their 3-day money flow coming into the green, it looks fantabulous. So yeah, no, it looks very good. And then kind of like Bitcoin, I would be looking at maybe the next 2 week for, kind of maybe even this anchor wave. That'll probably bring you down a little bit or something. How would we map this out? You come up into like mid, maybe late August. Then you come back down to this area. So you come up and then you get your kind of summer low, I don't know, 20-30% correction, something like that. And then into, if you think October, which is what I'm kind of thinking, kind of like that, you know what I mean? We'll just move this over. So a lot can happen here with a little bit of volatility in the middle. So that's kind of what I would really expect here. And I do have, obviously you saw the ETH trade open. If you want the stop loss, take profits, that's in the Discord down below. And yeah, it still generally looks pretty good. When you look at the other thing too, so here are the odds for the first, rate cut are going to be in October now. September is looking more like a pause, 60-40 for a pause. I think it'll be October. I hope it's October, and that's the irony of all that. That'll probably mark the end of the bull run, in my opinion. Maybe it'll go on a little longer. We'll see. Fear and greed. I think you'll probably get into extreme greed if ETH makes a new all-time high, and that'll be in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. And then you'll probably come down, get some fear, and then go back up to extreme greed in October or whatever. That's kind of how I would map this out. So yeah. That's ultimately what I'm looking at there. ETH versus Bitcoin, that's probably going to keep generally going upward at least into, September, October, I would argue, at least getting back to this point. So if you converted from, Bitcoin to ETH anything later than, early or mid 2024, you'd be okay. If we do hit this point, you could go even higher. ETH versus others, it peaked out in August of 21. Bottomed in April 21, then you kind of had an altcoin season there. So if we do this type of situation, you peek at this line edgers where that would be, and then where was this bottom? So January. So yeah, I could see that similar to that, and then it's kind of your altcoin season or something along those lines. Others versus Bitcoin, I think you're going to hold here and eventually, break upward. I think most of your alts should start to outperform Bitcoin and probably Ethereum after a couple weeks. So we'll see what happens there. Some people are like Ethereum versus Coinbase. There's a few decent ones. Ethereum I think is primed to really rally, maybe even $8,000 or something. Sui has had some high trading volume lately, rejecting from this point a little bit, but I think you're eventually going to break upward and hit, some of these higher points. Just looking at ApeCoin, that's been pretty lackluster, but I could be butchering this, but I forget what the Jesus take the wheel pattern exactly is, but it's usually when you come down, you're sideways a little bit, and then you come back. I think you're supposed to break upward there, though, but I don't know. I don't think this is Jesus take the wheel, but maybe this could get back up to a dollar or something. S&P 500 doing pretty good in pre-market, jumping upward, and I think that, it looks like a 700, close to 700 in October, and that probably equate to 150K Bitcoin, 7K ETH, and there's most of your bull run. Last but not least, let's look at Solana. That was the trade setup that I'm in right now. I don't know if that's the best thing to potentially go long on, but I do think you should be able to break upward in the next couple weeks here for Solana. I just want to look at Sol ETH because it's probably still getting coming down, which is expected, but I think you'll hit like a bottom around some of these points within the next few weeks. Maybe here, maybe like worst case scenario 0.03 or something. How much would this bleed against ETH? I don't know. Up to 70%? I don't know. That may be a little bit too much. Maybe just 55%. You're already down 50% against ETH. Could even be a bottom relatively soon here. So, that's kind of just how things go. And I don't know. There's always good news and stuff coming out with Solana. So, yeah, ultimately, that's what I'm looking at right here. The last one I just want to look at quickly is Chainlink. Some people are a little bit concerned about it, but, coming down, as long as you hold this level, that's pretty good here, and then hopefully you're on your way to $22. I lied. I want to look at AVAX as well, and similar situation, get those little corrections, but hopefully up to 32 in 2 weeks maybe if you do get some excitement. The other thing too, guys, the moment ETH makes a new all-time high, I think that's really going to be a good signal for altcoin season. You may get a correction right when ETH makes a new all-time high, but after that correction is over, then you may get a lot of people who are bored with ETH, bored with Ethereum, putting money into especially legacy alts and other things like that. And it's just saw Pangu. I know some people have been excited about this. I got to look at this damn thing. Yeah, not enough. Hold on. There was some more data on some other time frames or whatever with this. And yeah, I would be careful with this, but if you do break up higher, you're probably looking at potentially up to that point and then up here at 11 cents maybe. So that could be a good goal in the coming months, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the update. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Really appreciate you guys. Check out the links down below. You're not going to find those fee discounts on the exchanges anywhere else, at least not in a lot of places. So check it out if you guys are interested. I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.